Hi everyone, welcome back to Waterhouse Forde. So I'm making what's hopefully going to be the stand for the vibrating pass cleaner, and the idea is that this will be essentially like a tabletop. We'll slide the machine in, and then we'll slide that in behind it and lock it in place, and hopefully that will hold the body of the sander. Now, to lock it in place, I've got a couple of ideas. I think the first and easiest one is I'm going to put a screw bolt. That is, I don't know what you call them, but basically it's a screw which has a wood thread on one side and let's call it a nut thread on the other side, machine thread. And the idea will be to have basically that would obviously slot onto that. You'd have one this side, and with wing nuts to hold that in place. But we're going to need to provide some rigidity essentially over here to prevent this from trying to flex like that. So I have some long rods, and the idea is to basically put a rod all the way through. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to drill all the way through. Hopefully I've got a drill bit long enough to be able to do that. Obviously we want it all to line up. The holes would have to line up well, and to do that ideally you drill from one end and go all the way through, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. So that's currently the thinking. The alternative would be to actually have a piece of wood that locks across the top, which basically locks down, and you'd have to have 3 locking points, but that's obviously a bit messy, so I'm not really in favor of that. Anyway, so that's where we are, and we'll continue now and make the rest of it. Okay, so these are the screws I was talking about. That one's in better, that one's still new, so you can see. And the idea is that you drill through, and then what you do is you drill a pilot hole for that section there, and you screw it into this piece, and this one then slots over it, and you put a wing nut on the end. So that's what we're going to be doing. So the first thing we need to do is determine what size screw to use. We'll get There's my drill gauge, so we can see there that's a size 8. I might go, if I've got an 8.5, I'll go 8.5. Okay, so I've only got an 8, so that'll do. And then for the pilot hole, I'm using 3.5, so just under half of this. Now obviously we need to drill that hole first. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to mark on here exactly where we want it. Okay, that seems to work quite well. Now what we want to do is make sure that we've got enough sticking out for a wing nut to go, probably a wing nut and a washer. And that's probably about right actually. That's a good guess. Now, the problem is that's not going to stay, that, you know, we need that to stay still. We don't want it to turn when we try and tighten the wing nut. Now, this will probably be okay, as in, because those wing nuts are not, I don't think they're going to need to be particularly tight. But what I am going to do is actually back it out. I'm going to put some wood glue on there, in that hole, and hopefully that will bind that, or at least just help that thread, sorry, the bolt to stay in the wood, which hopefully just seal around the thread. So what's happened there, basically the glue has created a hydraulic pressure inside that hole, and believe it or not, it's actually split the wood, which is exactly what we didn't want to happen. Now the only good thing, if there is a good thing about that, is that the glue will have now been spread into the crack. So in theory, if we back this out, the crack will close up and it should squeeze glue in. Into that crack. Doesn't look like it's all the way through, which is a good thing. Right, let's try that again. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully the glue will repair the crack for us, but that's not what I wanted at all. That's annoying. Just when it was starting to go well. Right, never mind. What we'll do is we'll work on the other piece now. Oh, interesting. So turning it over, we see that the other side, obviously, the glue managed to find a way out as well. So that's obviously cracked. Can you see this? So obviously that did crack as well. So perhaps what I should have done instead is put the glue on the threads rather than in the hole. That may have worked better. Never mind. Live and learn. Okay, so it works. It's a little bit, maybe I just didn't have it lined up properly, but it seemed to kind of struggle a bit. Yeah, it's not very smooth. Look, it works. That's the main thing. Okay, and then what I've got is these two washers and wing nuts. There we go, so that now holds that in place. As I said, we want to get some rigidity here. You can see how that's moving. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. But we do need to get something in here. So there you go, that's it. That's that part. The only thing I'm concerned about is whether these washers are perhaps a little bit too big, but we'll see. If needs be, I do have some smaller ones, because you want them to be as big as possible, but if they end up fouling something as we build this. So look, that's the top. I may make these holes slightly bigger just to allow that to slide on and off a bit better. That's the top. Now the next job really, well, firstly we're going to need to get this centerpiece done in here, but the other thing is we need to build obviously a base, so that this will, when the sander comes in, we've got space for that. Anyway, that's it for today. I will continue probably tomorrow and obviously continue filming as well.